What? A new mode. PvP mode. After what? 3 years. Or look at those graphics, those mechanics. I have to play it. I have to try everything new. Guys, I think the game is going a little wrong for me. There are too many enemies. What's that sound? What's that sound? The computer is. Let's be fair, PvP mode has received some updates since that video. I wouldn't say it's 100% optimized, but it's certainly better. Hey, I'm back, and this time with a video I've been wanting to make since I started playing PvP mode. But here's the thing. How can I talk about something I'm unfamiliar with? That's why I ventured into this mode to tell you that yes, it's worth it, even if it's not for everyone. But without further ado, let's begin. First of all, a quick clarification. While this video has some tips and descriptions of this game mode, it's not really a guide or tutorial for it. That will come after this video. PvP mode is one of the least played modes currently in TDS, only ahead of sandbox mode. I honestly don't know what those who play there are doing, but that's their business. And I wonder, why is this mode so rarely played? Well, my theory is that, like me, at least at the beginning, this mode is imposing. It's so imposing that it's scary to start, either due to a lack of skill, or because you don't have enough towers to play this mode, or simply because this mode is completely broken and unbalanced. This mode, although it has been tested previously, is still unbalanced in some aspects. But you'll see in the guide that when you start to learn how to play this mode, it becomes quite entertaining. This mode didn't have the impact it should have had, or the one that was expected, since this mode, as I said before, has very few players, which unleashes a chain. If there are no players, people can't play, and if people can't play, there are no players. This causes two problems. The first is waiting more than 10 minutes for a game, only to lose it in the end. The second problem is that when you find a game, it turns out that you, a Molten player with, let's say, 2,000 points, are facing people with 3,000 points. Since there are no players, the matchmaking pairs you with people who are not your level. The PvP mode has some rewards since this mode has its own pass that works as follows. You win games, and they give you, let's say, cups or points, however you want to see it. As you add points, you unlock rewards according to the level you are at. The most striking thing about this pass is the Accelerator skin, which is an ultimate skin that is truly accessible to everyone. You just need to lose a month of your life and lose your sanity in the attempt if you are not prepared. I started playing the mode for this reason, and I'm not referring to the last thing I said, but to the Accelerator skin. I simply wanted the skin, so I got motivated, put on funk in the background, and started playing. Before this first season of PvP, some previews of the PvP mode had been released so that people could play it and thus fix bugs and balance the mode. I played it twice, so I more or less knew how PvP was played, but to be honest, I didn't know anything compared to how I finished. I started from scratch, so I didn't know the fundamental mechanics of PvP, which would be enemies spamming and consumables. And here I honestly agree with you. When you don't know anything about this mode, and you see that they are sending and sending enemies, and you try to defend, it's horrible, and you think that PvP mode is horrible, so you don't play it again. But believe me, when you know how to control all the important points of PvP, you start smiling after 20 lost games. PvP mode is divided into 3 different arenas. The first is the basic arena, where we will have easy enemies. The next arena is the Molten arena, where we will have fortune teller enemies, Molten enemies, and finally, we will have a Fallen arena, where we will have enemies of that mode. At the start of each game, you will have to choose the map first and second, the towers you will ban. These towers are vitally important since they can ruin your enemy's strategy. Although, of course, if you ban a tower, you won't be able to use it either. To ban, you will have to select your team, thus giving way to the match. The stats of the towers in PvP mode are not the same as in the other modes, so you have to take that into account and find out how good some towers are, since some seem like they're not good, but they are. Every 200 or 300 points you will go up in rank, and you will be able to obtain the respective rewards. In each match, you will notice 2 new menus. The first is the consumables, where you can have access to exclusive consumables of this mode, each one doing different things. I reserve the right to specify more about this since I will cover it much better in the guide. The next menu is where you can send enemies to your opponent. Although these enemies cost money, so to send an enemy, you will have to spend. These are in essence the mechanics of this PvP mode. By knowing and mastering them, you'll be able to start winning your first matches. I started this adventure in ranked duo mode since I was playing with Ease at the time. It's a strange name, but truth be told, we won more than we lost, so we reached Private 3, the last rank before moving up to the arena. Then I started playing with Ilex, where I managed to reach the Molten Arena, reaching Sergeant 1, and then playing with Lorenzo, and thus reaching Sergeant 2. But it was here that I realized something. To really get to know this PvP mode, I would have to win games alone, so I started playing them, going down to Private Rank 3. Here I would like to say something to those who are going to play this mode in the future. To take a step forward, it's okay to take 3 steps back. I had to learn how to really play, and that's how I discovered many hidden mechanics and tricks, and that's how I finally found my team for Molten. With this, I managed to quickly reach Major 1, which is the first rank of Fallen. But before that, I would like to give some tips for the Molten Arena, since my theory is that most players are in this arena. First of all, the mechanics. The menus are not for show. Use them, since they will help you. They help a lot against your opponent, and above all, look for a good team. The team you carry is vitally important, since even the initial towers are good in this mode, making it possible for a level 1 to play in PvP mode. Of course, this is not possible because a minimum level is required to play. But the point is that the towers you carry have to have a use, and even more so in this mode where you can only carry 4 towers. The map is also an important part of how you will play, since not all maps have the same strategies or the same towers. So you have to adapt well to 2 things. First, the banned towers and the selected map. This means that in this PvP mode, there are many possibilities to play, and it is your responsibility to know which ones can work in certain situations. And also an important thing is experience is worth more than a strategy. Although I am now giving you a strategy to win, as I said a moment ago, this varies a lot. And if, for example, a tower that I mentioned in the strategy is banned, you will not know what to carry. That is why in this mode, it is better for you to learn how everything works than looking for a fake strategy on YouTube that says you'll always win with that. Although in the guide, I'll tell you about my towers and strategy for those who are stuck. And finally, as I said before in the video, matchmaking is your enemy. TDS, in its infinite wisdom, decided not only to implement all the mechanics I mentioned before, making you have to adapt to everything, but you also have to fight against the game itself. After waiting 1 minute for a match, it will match you with players who have much higher yellow or score than you, putting you at a disadvantage in another arena. If the enemy is in the Fallen Arena, you'll have to play there. This is a bug, and it shouldn't happen, but it does. The guide will also tell you how to face them. Once I got to Fallen, everything became easier. I was afraid of losing the first game in Fallen because I didn't want to go back to the suffering of Molten Arena. However, I won the first game in Fallen, and honestly, I don't know how I won, but I did it. From then on, all I had to do was experiment in this new arena. Although I could practice in casual mode, there wasn't anyone who knew all the mechanics, and therefore I couldn't learn. The only thing left for me was to play ranked matches and experiment with strategies there. And I have to say, the strategy that got me to General 3 was an accident, because I was testing towers when, without realizing it, since I was watching a video in the background, I didn't change the towers and the towers I had. Let's say none of them were DPS, and not to mention that I was already in the big leagues. By big leagues, I mean Fallen Arena. I told my opponent to forget my towers, but he had no compassion and played seriously. But it was there where I got the definitive strategy for all the arenas. With that strategy, one managed to quickly climb to General 3 in 1 day, thus achieving my goal, getting the Accelerator skin.
Did you do it?
Yes,
What did it cost?
everything.
It is a fairly abandoned mode that has a lot of potential if they manage to implement another reward system and of course improve these. Since in my opinion some stickers and coins are not enough for what it does, but in general the mode itself is quite good. While I was in Molten Arena, I hated it because seriously, the matchmaking problem, it's horrible, and it happened to me more than 20 times that I played against people in arenas better than me. And here I would like to quickly say that the PvP table is quite inflated in my opinion, since this problem benefits those who are already in Fallen Arena. And it is easy to play and win against people who don't know how to defend themselves in your arena, thus making their points not reflect the real yellow they have. This mode, as I said, is very good, I would say underrated. It's been a while since TDS made me feel tension in games, but in this mode, whether when I went up to Molten Arena or when I finally got a Fallen Arena, I felt truly excited to achieve it, and I hope that if you play it you can feel the same, since it is pure merit of oneself. And well, I will start making the PvP guide as soon as I can so that everyone can get the Accelerator skin, since we are less than a month away from the end of the PvP season, and believe me, when a new one comes out I'll have a new guide for this mode, if that is the case. If you change things or add content without anything else to say, I say goodbye.